Uh, Monday, the 19th of June. It's the middle of the summer, not much transfer activity happening. Rumours abound, but nothing much else. But, oh, hold on a minute. Hello? Hello? What? Gary O'Neill has been sacked. That was my reaction on Monday. Complete shock to me. Complete shock to a lot of Bournemouth fans. Some were happy, some weren't. As always, all football fans are different, but mine was initial shock. All the pundits around, though, were completely dumbfounded. Paul Merson, Gary Lineker, you name it. There's tons of them. Other football fans turning around, hope you get relegated. That's nice. Um, but, for myself, it was a case of why? What happens next? And then, of course, the manager rumours come out. Graham Potter. Okay, sounds decent. Steven Gerrard, Frank Lampard, Jesse Marsch. Well, we've just signed our own relegation there. Of course, the man who come in was Andoni Iraola, a man who'd done a fantastic job with Rayo Vallecano in Spain. He'd managed to get them promoted from the second division with the smallest budget in the La Liga. Of course, the smallest budget in there as well. And therefore managed to get them to two top 12 finishes. Remarkable, really. He was on Leeds' radar. He was on a lot of clubs' radars. The man was in demand. He was a man who was looked at as somebody who is for the future. There's a lot of feeling in the media, especially, that Gary O'Neill should have stayed. And to be honest, I was one of Gary O'Neill's biggest fans. I still am. I think Gary is going to go on to bigger, better things. He now has a CV which he can be really proud of. He's going to be absolutely fine. He will go to any championship club and make a great job of it. I'm 100% sure. Therefore, if he had stayed on, and this is the way I look at it, if he had stayed on and gone another season, but in that season we got relegated, didn't really know how to fix things, got sacked by October. It's all ifs and buts. He might have led us right up the league, but we'll never know that now. But he goes with a CV which is full of quality. Now, AFC Bournemouth are a club who traditionally have stood by their managers. Of course, we did have one very, very special manager. Yeah, that man, Eddie Howe. Now, of course, Eddie Howe's aren't always available. They are few and far in between. And Gary O'Neill, I felt, was going to be that next step. He might not be there yet, but at the same time, he will get there. But to be fair, Bill Foley, at first, if you had appointed somebody like Jesse Marsch, like Steven Gerrard, like Frank Lampard, I would have gone, that is a bad, bad move. But the man that you have actually replaced Gary O'Neill with makes a hell of a lot of sense. Of course, a player with Athletic Bilbao, he did finish his career in the MLS at New York City. But since then, he's gone into management. And he started his first job with AK Larnaca in the Cypriot League. I'm an expert in the Cypriot. No, I'm not. I really ain't. But he managed to get him into the Europa League before being sacked. It was probably and like my guest said the other day, it was probably the one blot on Iraola's track record. He went to Mirandes, and untraditional, Segunda division side, the second tier of Spanish football, and he made them solid. He turned them around. He managed to get them to a Copa del Rey semi-final. So he's got a track record of working on a budget. Where does he go next? Well, the next club he went to was Rayo Vallecano, another club, three-sided stadium. Hang on, where does that ring a bell? Oh, yes, yes. The Ted Shed, of course, is still temporary. Um, but a three-sided stadium, Rayo Vallecano, second division of Spanish football, not really going anywhere, to be fair. And he managed to get them in the playoffs. He was under pressure at the end, but based on what he had done before that with Vallecano, they kind of changed their expectations of him, and he managed to get them up. Then, with the smallest budget in La Liga, he's gone and beaten. I've never heard of this side. What side's that? Barcelona? No, don't know. Don't know. And Real Madrid? Don't know them either. He managed to beat the giants of Spanish football. He managed to get this team, again, untraditional, a side who have got a limited budget, the fourth biggest team in Madrid. He's managed to get them into another Copa del Rey semi-final. Of course, he's got already an outstanding track record. And then last season, another 12th place finish. You can see why Bill Foley has gone for this man. In all fairness, and without joking around, Bill Foley has made this appointment with the future in mind. Bill Foley, of course, is the man who makes all the decisions at AFC Bournemouth. He needs to sit down across the table of his manager and decide, is this man a man who I can expect us to take us on to the next level? Maybe he didn't see that in Gary. Maybe he knew Gary would do a job of keeping a club in the Premier League. Maybe he still feels that Gary O'Neill is a Premier League manager. But the expectations at Dean Court, and this is what is exciting, have gone through the roof during this summer. Nobody really expected it. Me, I expected another brave fight against relegation next season. I expected a side who were going to be put together a little bit, with a bit more money, but at the same time, a side who weren't going to be full of those stars that you expect. And hold on a minute. Clivert, we're in for Justin Clivert. The expectation at AFC Bournemouth has gone up. And that is why I think Bill Foley, rather than Gary O'Neill not being good enough, has made this decision. He feels that Iraola is going to bring something and take us to this next level that we so desire to be on. A side, that are untraditional in our own sense. Let's be honest, we've spent more time in League One and League Two than we have anywhere near the Premier League. But what Bill Foley is doing is he's taken on this football club and he wants to grow it. And that is what is exciting about this. He wants to take a football club from pretty much nowhere, a side who had a great manager that took us into the Premier League from League Two, a fairy tale story, and kind of make that not a fairy tale anymore. What I mean by that is that it was a fairy tale that Eddie Howe taking us, AFC Bournemouth, from League Two to the Premier League, keeping us there for 5 seasons. We might have been relegated. It was COVID. We can bang on about Hawkeye. We can bang on about Burnley. However, we managed to get back up into the Premier League through Scott Parker. Now, say what you want of Scott Parker, but at the same time, Gary O'Neill did a great job of keeping us in the Premier League. But Bill Foley's aim is to make this no longer a fairy tale. He no longer wants AFC Bournemouth to be the side that everybody looks to and says, they're too small to be in the Premier League. He wants AFC Bournemouth to be looked at as a side who everybody thinks they're a decent, well-established Premier League club. We've already got the training ground being built at Camford Magna, and that is excellent. That is going to provide sustainability. That is going to provide players the emphasis of where they want to play their football for the future. Players don't want to play uh, for a team with a training ground which isn't very good. They're not too bothered about the stadium. They only need to go there really for match days. But with regards to the training facilities, they're going to be spending a lot more time there. That's where they are going to grow as players. And let's be fair, our training facilities, since we've done a lot to them, we've upgraded them, but we haven't had the space to actually build them to what we want them to be. He's finished that job. The training facilities at Camford Magna are going to be spectacular. They already look it. But the next step is, of course, the stadium. And what's the point of having a great stadium but having a shit team to put in it? Let's be fair. There's a lot of teams up and down the leagues who you could say have got great stadiums, but they haven't really got the teams to put in there. We might not have the stadium at the moment, but we will get there. And with Bill Foley, and what Bill Foley wants is a manager that is going to take us to the next level. He's seen a De Zerbi at Brighton, and he's seen what De Zerbi has done there and the Brighton model. And that, I think, is the emphasis of what he wants to do at this football club. Brighton, a well-ran football club. As soon as Potter left, they knew where De Zerbi was. They called him up and they got him in. AFC Bournemouth, let's be honest, had this planned. It's not like you turn round at 12:30, sack your current manager, and at 3 o'clock appoint one of the hottest prospects in world football at this moment in time. No, not at all. Let's be fair. The only red and black that you expected a Clivert to play in is that with an AC Milan crest on their shirt. Didn't expect that on there, did you? But we will see it next season. With Iraola, we're going to have a manager who is going to be able to attract the top players. He'll have the international knowledge as well. Not being harsh on Gary, but if players are looking at a club to join, and they've got two choices, and they've got the choice of playing for a fairly unknown English manager in Gary O'Neill, or a man that everybody is talking about in Iraola. We know where they're going to go. They're going to go to the second option, and that's what we've got. Now, I'm not knocking Gary O'Neill. He might get to that point, and I really, really, really hope he does. But it's going to take a little bit of time, and it's going to take a bit of working, to get there. This was never going to be the long-term future that maybe Gary O'Neill dreamt of. It was for Eddie Howe. And the reason it was for Eddie Howe is that he got us here in the first place. He got us from the League Two. We had nothing. We didn't have a pot to piss in, put nicely, back in the League Two days. We had bailiffs taking stock from the club shop. We had Jeff Mostyn having to sign cheques. Eddie Mitchell, for the first time, got this club really on a sound financial footing. And then Maxim come along and took us to the next level. But Maxim couldn't take us. It was not a never-ending pot of gold. He didn't go to a rainbow and find it at the end of that. What Maxim did was he made us sustainable. He made us a quality side. He improved things around the ground, and he got us into the Premier League alongside Eddie Howe. And for that, we should forever be thankful. But Iraola, I am sure, is the man to take us on to the next level. He plays exciting football. Gary O'Neill, like I say, will be a very, very good manager, and I hope he gets to that point. But all these pundits turning around and saying we shouldn't have sacked him, fans of other clubs saying, hope you go down. It's not exactly fair, because what AFC Bournemouth have done here is they've dreamt the big dream. Graeme Souness, for example, turned around and said we should just be happy to be in a relegation battle. Where's the ambition in that? Yeah, we're just going to stay up every single season. This is what we have been fighting against for so many years. We have now got the chance to dream. We've now got the chance to go to the next level. We've now got the chance to progress this football club. And it doesn't matter what Graeme Souness thinks. We can go for Europe. We can go for as high as possible in the Premier League. It might take us years to get there. We might never make it at all. But football's all about dreaming. And football's all about aiming for the top, not aiming to finish in 17th spot. So that is my honest opinion. A lot of people thought when Gary O'Neill left, and a lot of fans probably thought I have a picture of frame of Gary O'Neill in it, and I would be crying into my pillow that night that Gary finally left our football club, and we didn't know where we was headed. No, not at all. I would have been disappointed had it been one of the others that had been muted, but not with Iraola. Iraola strikes of quality, and therefore Bill Foley has sent a warning to the rest of the Premier League of what this football club is all about. Hopefully, fingers crossed, whatever Iraola does and these players and the players he brings in, we can take ourselves to the next level. And all those pundits, all the bookies, everybody who's turning around and saying we shouldn't have sacked Gary, we deserve to be relegated, we should have been relegated last season supposedly. Hopefully, once and for all, they can all shut up and we can enjoy our moments like many clubs before have done.